So to me, fintech is, it starts from the minor thing of logging into your phone, checking a bank statement, or making a payment to a friend, to well, the creation and the innovation of like new cryptocurrencies and blockchain. So yeah.
Speaking of cryptocurrencies and blockchain, maybe Charlie can give us like a very simple introduction into what blockchain and cryptocurrencies are and why they are
Sure,
important, and why should we know what they are?
sure. So I think to just follow up on what Ariana just said about fintech, to start with that, I think fintech is in general is a very interesting sector. It has a lot of correlation with our daily life because everybody needs to do payment, right? Most of the I think in the last couple of years we put our money in the brick and mortar banks, right? In the bank branch, and then from the physical bank, now we're talking about digital bank and all kinds of new type of form, right? And but still, it's one of the most active used utility in people's life, right? Paying, receive money, and the cross-border payments, all kinds of things, right? Giving loans, mortgage, and so on. It's really one of the fundamental stuff going on. But the traditional finance is also really kind of slow, and a lot of things can be done in a digital way. So that's the necessity to why we talk about fintech, right? It's a combination between technology and then software, all that, and also the financial part, right? It's a combination of these two fields meeting together, and that's my understanding about fintech in a very very broad and also kind of just high level. And so talk about blockchain. Blockchain is a technology that kind of everybody kind of get the idea from the original way is a distributed ledger, right? So we call this DLT. So it's distributed ledger. Everybody have the common access. It's a common accessible, transparent order book that makes sure the people who wants to change the order book has to have a very high cost to change the entire network because the nodes in the network have to sharing the consensus, right? Everybody have the same access of the information. So it's nobody uses the word blockchain until Satoshi Nakamoto, the creator of Bitcoin, started his white paper in 2018, in 2008 and 2009, and it was actually a symbolic movement, kind of just saying the centralized authority of the Federal Reserve has some kind of problems. The people who actually were actually making some unethical behavior and a bad act actually get a bailout, right? It was kind of like a egalitarian way to say, maybe not necessarily to trust the central, authority per se. You can have like a digital way through the DLT technology, have this consensus to make sure it's a fair, actually transferable, immutable, and traceable, and financial network, right? So one of the most usage of financial stuff is currency, right? That's the reason why everybody becomes so hyped about that. Through the technology, cryptology, and all that, we actually are able to make a new form of a currency that's actually globally transformable. Can divide it into different units, and then actually that's a way to reserve the value, right? Not necessarily just endorsed by the government. So it's a new form. A lot of people against it, but certainly when we look back right now, the Bitcoin wallet address is exponentially grow. Originally just a couple of hundred, only the Bitcoin nerds are using it now, like for millions of people all over the world, right? Even Wall Streets are buying. I even heard the central government, central banks from Iran, the governments are buying and so on. They treat this as a different way. But you cannot just say Bitcoin equals to a blockchain. It's actually just one use case, right? So now we have everybody maybe heard Ethereum, heard different new type of blockchain network. We call this like second generation or even third generation blockchain stuff. So, but if we kept abstract that into a new way, we call them Web3, right? Website, internet, or Web 3.0. That's basically, we call this like the from the Web 2.0, like the information network, to the value network or value internet, right? So we're not just transferring the data or information, basically the messages you're sending on WhatsApp, on all that. That's not just information. We can copy and paste. There's no intrinsic value behind it, right? And now we are sending currency, cryptocurrency. We're sending digital assets, or we not this year we call it NFT, non-fungible token, and so on and so forth, right? Those have essential value on that. So it's actually much different level of things we're sharing in the network. And so because they have value, it's actually agreed upon based on the consensus. The potential is much higher. I would say it just multitude and magnitudes of higher value than just the information network, right? Everything can be copy paste, and shared among each other. And that's the information network. Information network is already being proven and used in a couple of decades, right? In the last couple of decades. Now we're entering the Web3, right? That's actually very exciting. At least for me, that's the reason I'm very passionate about Web3. It's a very abstract, big term that encapsulates hundreds of smaller things. Everybody could give a different definition, right, about what is Web3 and so on. So blockchain is just a technology that support that. If we should not just focus on technology itself, because a lot of people say, yeah, it's just a tool, right? I'm always looking at the business side or on the economic side of the value. What does it, why it's valuable for society? So I think this is just a technology to help us to going towards the Web 3.0 age, and that's that's the reason why we think this is exciting. But I think some other technology we can talk about, maybe Industrial 4.0, artificial intelligence, IoT, right? Those are also important technology. We shouldn't just ignore them as well. It's like the whole thing together is like all really good, important modules that help us move to the Web 3.0 age. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you, Charlie. I can feel the excitement, in blockchain in these technologies, and yeah, I'm sure that we can all get we can all put in more effort to learn more about these things and why they're so important. I also wanted to ask you about your so you have very different careers. So Charlie has founded his own company and he has his own work which he chooses. As a founder, you choose the projects that you work on. You create your own routine, and then Ariana has joined one of the most intense fintech startups to work for, at least in Europe. Maybe you can share some things about your daily life and what kind of responsibilities do you have every day? How's your routine? Do you get to sleep at times? How many hours do you work every week? If you would like to share that.
Sure. I know why Petros is asking this question. It's because he knows that I don't sleep many hours during the week. But so when I joined Revolut, I wasn't expecting I wasn't expecting to basically work at a fintech. But then when the opportunity came, I just took it. I've always really enjoyed their product, so I found it very interesting to see what a more 21st century kind of company looks like compared to traditional banking. And it is a very fast-paced environment and the culture is very different. Startups are very, very focused, very driven towards delivering their products, getting everything delivered in time, everything delivered very fast, and providing something very new to the world. Revolut is something very similar. The working hours are, yes, very long, but I do find myself forgetting sometimes that, I've been working for 12 hours straight. It comes with the benefits and it comes with some negatives, like any other job. I mean, even if it is your own job, I think you're even more dedicated towards it. But working at Revolut is, I think everyone that's working at this company and most startups, I think, if you're gonna put the effort in and dedicate yourself to a job in fintech, in a startup, you have to share the vision, share the founder's vision. And although we're not that much as a startup in terms of size anymore, because we've got almost 3,000 employees now, you in the London office will pre-COVID, you could still feel the startup vibe. They kept the startup vibe because I think it's driving people towards getting their job done, thinking deeper, trying to come up with new ideas, new solutions. And I think that's what drives me to become better. I try to learn from the people that have been there before me, learn from new people joining because they might have experience in other areas, in other sections. But I think what's most interesting about working at Revolut is no single day is the same. It's always very hectic. It's always very busy. You always interact with different teams, different product teams. You see the different mindsets of people. You learn to analyze data in different manner, but it's never the same at all. Whereas